Looking at the first week of August, and I will be uploading this on the 1st because it's almost midnight. But then nonetheless, I will include the 1st as well, regardless of if maybe I upload it like 5 hours into the day of the 1st. So I am looking at the first week only because it's almost midnight. So I don't want to make a long video. So I am looking at Venus, of course, because Venus is the lord of this channel, right? We are looking at relationships on this channel. I look at all types of relationships. I look at your intimate relationships with your lover, with your husband, your spouse, your woman, your wife, your whoever, right? Your ex, your third party, your sidekick, side piece. That is my work. I also look at family dynamics. I look at your dynamics with where you stay, where your home is, the country. That is through my geosynastry services. I also look at the dynamics between countries, the relationships between countries, between people that we know. Basically, everything relationship. It is my duty, my responsibility, my job, my passion, because it helps me uncover behavior of people and how we can heal all of these relationships. Now, I do have a brand new offer that is obviously coming through because of the demand in the market. This is an offer that is focused on relationships between you as a person and a company that you want to work for or that you work for. I am offering an organizational synastry as well. How does it work? You are hired by Ernst & Young and you want to see if you're going to make a beautiful fit. But then also because I am working with organizations and institutions, so you are the hiring manager in your company and you have a candidate and you want to see if this candidate is going to be a good fit, you call me or you contact me. There is a special contact information for institutions so that I can, or so that I know, that now I am at a higher level of contact. For institutions, if you are hiring somebody and you want to know if this person is a good fit, they're going to be a good fit with the manager or whoever, you contact me, right? And I do an organizational synastry the same way I do a geosynastry, whereby I look at you fitting in a physical place, physical location, and of course everybody is also welcome in terms of the normal relationship dynamics. This is a synastry expert channel and I am Meta, your astrology journalist, because I break the news before the news happen. Now let's get into the details. So we must remember that Mars has entered the sign of Virgo since the 29th or the late hours of the 28th, depending on where you are in this world. Now, because Mars is in Virgo, we can see that now it is inner and earth sign. Dynamics are a bit different than it was when it was in a fire sign in Leo. And I've already, discussed about its impact, how it's going to behave. I discussed as well the behavior of Venus in the new sign of Gemini, because it also moved from Taurus. So I'm not going to repeat all of those explanations, deep explanations, but I will link the last video that I made last week down below so that you can get the details and the explanation and the meaning and the behavior of these planets in these new signs. Now, when it comes to the dynamics of this week, which is something that we want to look at for now, Venus is going to be obviously still in Gemini, and it is in Gemini with Jupiter. I also explained the dynamics between Jupiter and Venus in that same video, and how things will turn out, how things will be like on a global view. But what I do see in terms of our relationships, now remember, I am talking in a general manner because I don't know how your chart is like, because remember, as I always say, everything matters in a chart. The aspects, they matter. Your ascendant, it matters. Your everything, it just makes a different story from one individual to another individual. Now, having said that, when it comes to beautiful Venus with Jupiter in Gemini, we are going to have this week, particularly from the 1st and until the 3rd, until the 13th, actually, when it comes to Venus specifically, until the 13th, I am expecting a whole lot of transformations in our relationships. Why? Like I explained in the last video, and that when it comes to Venus, it is now forming a square with Mars, and Mars is in Virgo. Virgo for Venus is a debilitation sign, particularly because it's forming this square with Mars. Now, what we need to also remember is that Venus and Jupiter are also receiving a square from Saturn and Neptune, which are now opposite Mars. This is creating a heavy dynamic all around. Now, when it comes to our relationships, we are then expecting this theme of transformation to continue, because when you have a square, you're going to be required to transform yourself in a certain way. Why? Because this is where the sacrifices are required. Nothing is balanced. One side is 60%, the other side is 40%. So it means that there's more giving or there's more losing or taking, right? So nothing is balanced. So sacrifice must be given, compromise must be rendered and served. So what it means now is that I am seeing illusion for this week. You know, some of the things are not clear, and this could also be going or speaking directly also to the bigger relationships, such as in our government and, you know, leaders, because also remember that Mercury is also retrograde. So we are having a whole lot of shift that is challenging us to confirm, compromise, sacrifice quite a lot this week. Now, with that said, I am seeing self-sabotage in some relationships. Why? Because of being naive. I am seeing a lot of naivety, a lot of taking decisions too quickly or with impulse, or being too excited that you override your logic at this time. Now, there are unrealized desires that I'm seeing, and there will be plenty of those desires. Why? Because Jupiter expands whatever it touches, right? Like we always say in astrology, Jupiter is the planet that will expand whatever it touches. It also means that those desires are going to be big, huge, enormous. Why? Why? Because Jupiter and Venus are trine with Rahu. But there is a huge thing. What is that? It is the Lilith that is in Libra. What does it do? It brings out those desires and it makes them to be a bit tainted, a bit opportunistic, a bit using your partner to get something, right? So there's a lot of stepping stones that some people will be doing, in terms of relationships, business relationships as well. Same thing. Now, there will be a lot of restlessness as well. Why? Because Venus is in Gemini. What is Gemini? Gemini is a sign of being restless. Literally, Gemini is busy doing a whole lot of things at one go. Touching here, leaving it, touching another thing, leaving it, starting another project, leaving it, just a bit of restlessness. So with Venus here, that whole vibe of of Gemini is going to affect our relationships. Why? Because Venus represents relationships. It represents our spouses, our partners, people we come into contracts with. Right. Now, remembering a huge thing. What is that huge thing? Is that at this time, Venus is or has entered the Ardra Nakshatra as well. Jupiter has been here. We've been seeing the results. What is Ardra Nakshatra about? Remember, it is about tears, crying a lot or flooding or just a lot of emotional flow, liquid flow. But we must remember that it is not only about crying, about wailing, about floods that we've been seeing all over the place and all of these things. It is also about clarity. Why? Because the transformation that we go through and all of these things that we go through, at the end, they bring clarity. We get to say, oh my gosh, I went through this because, the universe wanted me to get this and that, or wanted me to see this and that, or wanted me to remove this person, accept this person. We get clarity. This is why that teardrop, if you read the theories around the nakshatra of Ardra, you get to know that also that teardrop that you see can also represent a diamond. A diamond. What is a diamond? A diamond is something so valuable that even when you burn it, it doesn't melt. So what does that mean for you, for your relationship, for what you're going through right now? It means that all of this emotional instability, transformation, pain, floods, wailing, weeping, wars, all of these conflict or hidden motives, third parties, all of these just random things happening in life, they are also transforming you into a diamond. What it really transform into is that you can go through the breakup, you can go through the pain, you can go through the hurdles, you can go through challenges, you can go through anything, but at the end of the day, you come out unburnt. You come out strong. You come out shining even more because you are a diamond. And I'm just thinking about this now. I didn't even plan it. I don't plan the motivational parts, they come naturally. And I don't use AI also to get my motivations or my predictions. I've been a motivational person all my life. Even in high school, I was doing the same thing, being called by teachers to motivate other students. It was the same thing in university, and I have been on the internet writing poetry, writing messages way before even AI came about. So my words, I don't need to get them from AI. I don't need to get predictions from AI. I come from a prophetic family. I have explained this several times. My mother was a prophetess and she helped many people. She revealed many secrets. My mother was the person that you could come into the house and she would just tell you about your life. My father, same. He was a prophet, but he had to pray, so it was a different maneuver when it comes to my mother. For my mother, she didn't even need to do much. It was just a gift. But for my father, he would pray and ask for revelations of things, and he would receive dreams of what's happening that would tell the truth, that would tell what's happening, everything. He had so much faith. So I do come from a prophetic background, and therefore my intuition is naturally high because of the people that birthed me. They had the gifts of connecting to their, to the higher beings. But of course, I verged into astrology, which I don't think anybody would have thought I would be doing astrology, and my intuition is working along with the knowledge of astrology. So I don't need AI, and yeah. So going back to this diamond, I also will come out as a diamond after all of these things. Right. Now let's continue. So now what I do see from the 1st until the 3rd when it comes to our leaderships and leaders is that there is a need to change things around, right? So there is this quiet conversations that are happening, and a lot of people at this time, they are avoiding conflict. Like they don't want to speak out directly or oppose too quick. So a lot of people are observing and a bit reserved, and this could also be happening with our fathers as well, or our leaders in terms of our own personal lives, our bosses. They are just observing what we're doing. Even the government, observing and all of these things, because remember, Sun is in Cancer, but at the same time, it is with that Mercury that is going retrograde. So meaning that they're collecting information right now. So they are assessing and collecting information and not wanting to quickly, combat or challenge. So it could also be happening, of course, with the relationships of the governments itself. Like each one country, instead of going all out, it just chooses to plan quietly, collect all the data that they need, collect all the information that they need, and have everything in place. Now, what I also do see, which is highly highlighted, particularly from the 3rd until the 5th, or until the 6th. Now, this is where we can see clearly what's being planned, right, for the first 2.5 days, 2 to 3 days. And then on the 3rd, right, so on the 3rd going forward, then you can see a lot of transformation and a lot of powerful or combative actions at this time. Very compulsive, by the way. So it could be like an action that seems like it's chaotic, or maybe if a leader is saying something, then their speech is like, whoa, okay, that's a bit raw, and that's a bit challenging, that's a bit arrogant, or wanting a fight, or challenging another country, challenging another leader, but very, very felt, like very, it's like a tongue of a snake, it's like it makes you feel like you feel it, right? So that's what's going to be happening from the 3rd going forward. Like, we people are just now lashing out, just directing words, to their opponents. And also this could be those in our relationships, those with a strong sun at this time, particularly for Cancer ascendants. This could be also them, whereby now they just boom, boom, boom in their speech. Or it could also be Geminis as well, because then the Cancer sign goes into the second house of speech. So, what they say, it could be just whoa, like boom, fire, right? Now, what I also do see happening is, whatever is being said, whatever is being planned, it's all about controlling the narrative. So if it's in your relationship, you do something because you want to be in control. Why? Because remember, Mars is in Virgo. Virgo is about what? Is about control, is about having everything in place, is about doing everything perfectly. And now you have Mars, a soldier, somebody who is trained to follow the rules, trained to follow the orders, trained to just work like a machine. So everything is going to be about controlling the narrative, controlling the behavior of others, of yourself and others, controlling or what's being done in your house or in your workplace, or particularly in the workplace. This is where you're going to see now micromanagement of people, whereby your boss all of a sudden now wants to micromanage you, and you don't understand. And mostly it's not even going to be your boss, it's going to be your colleagues who are starting to act like your boss over you. Or it could also be your friends who are now wanting you to follow their regime, to follow their ways, and you're like, what? And if you're in a relationship, of course, this could be also your boyfriend. Now all of a sudden your boyfriend is expecting you to do 1, 2, 3 at this time, this way, and you're like, what? All right, so this is like the dynamic thing that we are seeing coming at this time, right? So now when we zone in, because we have to zone in the chart and see, or remember rather, what is happening. We do remember that we have Lilith still, and it's going to be in Libra for a long time. years. Why? Because Lilith also moves slowly. So what does Lilith do in Libra? It does bring a whole lot of tainting in relationships. Why? Because remember, Libra is about relationships. This is our union. This is our partnerships. This is our business contract. This is our contract as a government to another. This is an international agreement. So with Lilith, there is a whole lot of unsaid things, ulterior motives, people not being clear for who they are, people not saying exactly what they really mean, people wanting to still take from you without giving more of what you need. So there's a lot of imbalance that is being brought by Lilith in our relationships. Now, of course, some people could not feel it. Why? Because your chart maybe has already certain in Libra, and certain will definitely not tolerate any Lilith thing. So there is those things that are happening. But if you have Mars, for example, in your chart in Libra, you are affected by this transit of Lilith in Libra. So this is why it becomes important to check your own chart. Okay, now so let's get into the deeper details. And I will be looking at the global environment or global atmosphere, that is the astrological weather report right now. And I do know that this segment is not for everyone. Not everyone likes the global movements, and so of course for now, thank you for being here, for watching, and those who are continuing with me. I am going deep and deeper. Now, on the 1st of August, remember I am going to be uploading this on the 1st because now literally it's past midnight. So it's just a few minutes past midnight. So today, the 1st of August, what I am seeing here happening, news regarding Russia or from Russia today. We will be hearing something from Russia or about Russia. I also do see that it could be relating to relationships or partnerships that they have, or an enemy, a direct enemy. So of course at this moment their direct enemy is Ukraine. We do know that. So there could be some news regarding to either a partner or an enemy, right? But then it's going to be a hurtful news or hurtful action, but something relating to not being in accordance, right? So this is very clear here. And of course, there is also an element of resources involved, and this objective or this of resources or whatever they need to get or must be get, it could also be conveyed in communication, either in writing or through verbal expressions right now. So I do see that. I also do see that on this day, looking at the general dynamics of the leaders and the global perspective, is that there is some stubbornness when it comes to the leadership. So as I said before, that a lot of countries or leaders are planning, quietly, silently, but at the same time there is some stubbornness even within their own meetings. There is this disagreement that I'm seeing here, and the underdogs at this time could be feeling a bit repressed, like they can't express what they feel, they can't be recognized or what they do, and their position basically just, in life. Now, when it comes to Israel, when it comes to India, when it comes to Pakistan, when it comes to Tanzania, because now I have added some ascendants. So I've been working with my database. So I do have lots of ascendants now in my database. I'll be able to talk directly to my audience according to what is happening in their country. But of course, it's an ongoing thing. I mean, we have so many countries. So imagine the data that I'm pulling. But anyway, so when it comes to these countries, India, and of course always USA, SA, China, so I do see here that there could be fear to take action with some countries that I've just mentioned, particularly when it comes to either enemies of Israel or Israel itself. Why? Because of the opposition that is happening right now with certain Neptune and Mars. Remember, Israel is a Virgo sign. Tanzania is Virgo sign. Pakistan Virgo sign. So this brings a lot of push and pull between wanting to have an action and also being restricted by maybe some policies or even a higher authority, which most of the time is always the US. So this is how the US gets involved here. I do see also obviously stress or stressful situations, because the US also has just delivered those tariffs, regarding to countries. So it is causing right now some stress and a lot of, as I said, wanting to go and plan, think carefully, plan, being reserved, collect all your data. So this is what's happening on the first. A lot of countries are busy thinking, rethinking, planning. However, I do see a lot of inconsistency, which also could be promoted by lack of information, or information that is scattered, or information that is not well advised. So I do see that. I do see a lot of foreign influence, and of course USA with these tariffs, destabilizing all of these countries, because remember, there's also tariffs against SA, tariffs against China, tariffs against a lot of these countries. And so I do see that. And when it comes to the 2nd of August, now here I do see a country that is based in a northern region. So if it's a continent of Africa, then the northern region of Africa. If it's in Americas, then the northern region, which should be Canada. Then if it's in the Asia side, like the northern country, right? But I do see a northern country here that has, it must say something, but they are withholding themselves from saying what they need to say. There is a hidden resentment that they're feeling, and at the same time they could be feeling lonely, not lonely, but isolated. That's the word I'm looking for. They could be feeling isolated because of the silence that they have chosen to take or they are forced to take. So there is a stance that is requiring them to say something and they either can't say it or they are being cautioned against saying it or they just simply don't want to say it. But I do see this passivity coming from this northern country or northern region. And you know what I'm thinking right now? It could also be relating actually to maybe the situation of Palestine and Israel. That's what is coming right now to me intuitively, that these countries or country in a northern region that is supposed to take action is not taking action or is being silenced or is choosing to be silent, whereas it's not supposed to at this time. So this passivity is actually is it's out of fear. So I do see this. It's out of fear. It's like they are fearing change or to see change. And so there's like this reserve manners that they are choosing, and it's going to lead into them being isolated later on. This is what I'm seeing here. They were supposed to speak up, they were supposed to be a guide, they were supposed to say something, and they chose silence. Now, I do also see some two-faced situations, like countries being two-faced or leaders being two-faced, whereby they show one side and then they go around and do something different. You know, it's so funny because Russia as well is highly indicated in this chart. And now, as I said, I don't have enough data yet. I am building it up. But for now, Russia could be one of the countries that has to say something or that needs to say something, and they've been reserved or they're keeping their silence and they're not. And they're showing one face or being detached, right? So I do see that. And when it comes to the third of, so I see the third being a high date. So the third becomes a bit difficult, becomes a bit chaotic all around, particularly for Iran. I do see Iran being highlighted right now. So from the third, I do see Iran coming up. I do see also there will be news from Ethiopia again. There were news. I just didn't update my portfolio, but there will be news for Ethiopia. There will be news for IET on the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. So between these dates, I do also see Israel coming up, definitely on the 3rd. Iran, definitely on the 3rd. Iran is going to be in the news. There's going to be something relating to the government. There's going to be something, or not government, maybe their leader, well, government, right? Their leadership or leader, or relating to a structure again. Like the last time I spoke about a structure, or structure again, or even something that is relating to the country itself, like the land of the country. So there is going to be news relating to that. There is also going to be a power. So it could be power in terms of weapon, or it could be power in terms of another authority, another government, another clashing government, right? That is going to be involved. And so it's basically, when it comes to Iran, they also had that communication with the EU regarding those contracts. So what I do see here, they need, or they are required to restructure something. Before they had this meeting with EU, I had made a prediction that they would be forced into a corner, and just recently they had that meeting whereby they were asked to rethink about their nuclear plans and da. I had already predicted that, but what I do see here is that there is a challenge of power here. There is a challenge of power, and there's going to be a word said, and there's going to be requirements, and there's going to be something relating to the leader that must be dealt with. And it's going to include the structure, and it's going to include power. Now, when I talk about power, it could be power in terms of weapon, or it could be power in terms of authority, because of the polluter that is about power and transformation. So I do see that, and it's going to be sudden. It's going to be so suddenly. And again, everything is alleged from the get-go. This is speculation, just astrology talk. Now, I do see that USA could be lingering behind in the background in whatever is happening, or they could be at the forefront of what will be taking place. On the other news, I do see some news regarding to China as well at this time. So basically, from the 3rd, I do see news regarding to China, Iran, USA always, Pakistan, and South Africa. So these countries, they become on the high alert from the 3rd until the 5th of. So it could also be regarding the policies. It could also be regarding ending of certain structures or certain policies. But definitely when it comes to Iran, it's something happening in the country or relating to the country, their leadership, or the land itself, or a structure, like I said the last time. So what I do see also on these days, so this could be global, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come from these countries, but it could also be a global thing whereby there could be some news regarding to a daughter of a leader. So a daughter of a leader. So this daughter of a leader is on the news for whatever reason, highly indicating to end of something. So maybe they're ending their marriage, maybe they're ending a contract with a certain company, maybe they're ending, God forbid, the taboo stuff, the weird, like the hard stuff, right? But there is news about a daughter of a leader that will come up on these days. I also do see that obviously this conflict, as I said, this is like just a pushy period, And I do see just words, passive aggressive words actually just being exchanged. I see that. I also do see some news again about Beyonce, or maybe her fans at this time, like I predicted last time, and it happened. I do see it coming up again, and it is due to that Mercury that is going retrograde, that is going to bring up this. So it's going to be relating to an old story or an old activity, like how she brought up Destiny's Child, which is they coming from her old life in terms of performance. So it could be a story, an old story, something old that is being brought up in the media right now. I do see, when it comes to other countries, tribalism coming up right now. So there could be, and mostly it's usually in Africa. South Africa usually is part of this, whereby one tribe is blamed for something, or is being criticized, right? So I do see a story like this on these days. It's definitely going to be a fear-based 3 days, 3, 4, 5. There's some fear happening, and because a lot of fear is here, some people avoid to have conflict and or choose to be passive aggressive about it. I do see an abandoned ship, like maybe in the sea or whatever, or it was carrying people, carrying someone, or carrying why am I thinking clothes? I don't know why I'm thinking clothes. Clothes is coming up in my head. Shoes is coming up in my head. I don't know why. But the last time I refused to say what I was being told, I was proved otherwise, because I was being told death regarding to Iran, and I kept on correcting myself to death, and it turned out it was literally death that was coming, through that terror attack. But right now, the words clothes, shoes is coming up when it comes to this sheep that maybe is abandoned or is found. I do also see lots of responsibility generally for some people, like some countries at this time. What else am I seeing now? So if this is Iran, they would be taking a step into maybe revenge, or into an action that they feel is necessary to do, because they feel attacked. They feel attacked. So they must act. But what I do see is that through that action, it's not a good step. It's not a good plan. It's not, and it's gonna hurt them. So it's not a good plan right now to do that, right? Or if it's the US attacking Iran again, or vice versa, it's not a good day. It's not a good step right now, right? But then this step, I do see it being taken, like this decision. And if I were to be consulted, I would say no. But of course, I don't offer my services to countries or institutions as a decision maker. I offer my services as outsource, or something, that can be asked for advisory, like any other consultant firm, right? So I would say no, don't do it today. It is a self-destruction move. Right, so on the 5th, okay, so on the 5th and on the 4th, so is the news of the sheep, right? So the 4th, and then the 5th, I do see instability again. Okay, so the instability is coming up again, and I do see people having to deal with pain at this time. So there's pain that they have to deal with at this time. So maybe as a country or maybe as people within the country. But at the same time, because of this instability, there's a need for support. And I see a need for support at this time. So it could be emotional support, it could be resource-based as well, highly indicated, resource-based as well, because of what just happened. Again, it's a sudden thing, it's an incident, sudden incident. The leader is going to talk about it, the leaders are going to report on it, they're going to have words about it. Right, so I do see that. And yeah, basically nothing much to discuss. So that's it for the global overview, and thank you. I'll chat to you soon. A bit. Ciao.